Dear friends, glad to meet you all once again. It's Saturday, 25th of June, 3 minutes past 10 Kiev time, and we're starting our stream on Feygin Live and Privateer Station. Day 122. Hello, Olexiy. Glad to see you with us. Good evening, guys. We already have 130,000 people watching us live, over 20,000 left their likes to this video. Please share the links to that stream. That is important for promotion. And subscribe to Feygin Live, Alexei's channel, and to the Privateer Station if you're listening to that in English. Alright, let's see what happened during the last 24 hours. Nothing major happened. It likely will start changing in the next day, because on Izum direction there's added about 10 battalion tactical groups. Part of them are tank groups. And also from Bakhmut to Severodonetsk they have about 20 groups, which are beaten up, but they still have it there, and they do want to close that kettle. And between the north and south positions of Russian troops, it's 18 kilometers. But I understand we do have a plan, and it will somehow be fulfilled. So Severodonetsk, the troops left it. Yeah, Severodonetsk troops left. Well, actually, not entirely. We still have special forces, groups of those guys in the city. So we can't even say Severodonetsk is empty. There is some movement there, and they're fulfilling their tasks. There is a fight going on. Our command has a definite idea how they want to handle it, and let's see how it succeeds. I'm treating that in a calm manner, because just looking at our experience with Gorskaya and Zolotoye, how we smoothly withdrew from that area, that actually broke the whole paradigm, so it appears we do know how to do such operations, and we have political will to do that. So withdrawal, if it happens, if it needs to happen, from Lysychansk, how much time do the forces need to leave that area? And how much time do Russian forces need to close that kettle? Can you give us any idea on that? Well, they'll be closing it for a while now. It's not a simple thing. Even these 18 kilometers. And how long it'll take us to withdraw, I could tell, but I won't, because first of all, one needs to know what's exactly there, what's happening with the troops, their condition on both sides, battle worthiness, supply level. I can say academically, in theory, that area we're not talking about lengthy time frame. If need be, they can withdraw rather fast. We still keep and maintain the control of the troops, despite the difficulty on that front. We'll see how we can fulfill our goals there and what Russians will do. Now, situation with Kramatorsk and Slavyansk. We understand that after the active phase in Severodonetsk, they likely will concentrate on those other towns. How stable is the situation there? And that's what I said. They're storing about 20 battle groups from Izum to Slavyansk, and we'll see how they can do it. First of all, it's not easy to do it. Distance is pretty big, defense is very serious, and we've beaten them in different places, so they will have a new place to beat them in. So unlike their attempts to encircle Lysychansk and Severodonetsk, there is no encirclement near Slavyansk, and general attacks into our anti-tank means, into our fortifications, they're welcome. They're welcome to come and try us. So we'll see. All right, let's move to Kharkov. There's nothing happening for no reason in army and during war. All the troubles usually happen when somebody really tried the trouble to happen. So it is very thankless task to attack the defensive position straight on, head on. So they'll pay a significant price of even trying that. And even in the Slavyansk and in Lysychansk and Severodonetsk, their attempts to encircle it, they will likely waste a lot of more troops to do that. It's not so easy. And I'm less concerned about Slavyansk and Kramatorsk. What about Kharkov? Kharkov is a battlefront city. They're being shelling it for the last day. Today, for example, there were 51 missile hits all over Ukraine. And this is somewhat of a jump, because only the first month when they were launching 100 or 70, 120 missiles a day. And then there's been much less than that. So it is the first time they're amping up the ante and launched 51 last day, 24 hours. So they are hitting Kharkov. Civilians are dying there. Nothing changed. We talked about that civilians should consider evacuating, especially if they have elderly and children. So there is no attempt to push on the land. Oh, no. They do try to push us. Trying to push the Tishki to Lozovaya. And the weird thing is, they're still trying to push, even though they were kicked out to the border before. And second is that they keep shelling Kharkov and Chigluev, killing civilians. All right, got it. Let's move further to Zaporozhye and Kherson. Not much happening on Zaporozhye, but according to some data that still needs to be verified, they're trying to do some counter attacks there in response to our activities. But I'm skeptical, and even that new General Surovikin has not convinced me otherwise yet, because their command on the southern side has been remarkably dumb. And, there are parts of the front where the Russian army suffers tremendous losses, but at least they're moving forward. So you think the guy from Space Force will command better? We'll see what he will command at the end of it. I'm still skeptical. What's happening in Kherson? Some artillery duels, and since both sides does not have enough resources, we're both saving energy for the future skirmish. For sure, they cannot break the situation or change our offensive. So out of desperation, I guess, they're hitting and shelling Nikolaev the last few days. They're just terrorizing civilian population of the city. And yeah, that's it. I would not want to repeat myself. So that 50 missile shelling, how effective is Ukraine anti-missile system? There's been very little time, so I'll need to wait a little till some of the data finds its way to open print. Well, that is my problem. I can comment on other wars with a precision down to 1 meter, just like I commented on Armenia-Azerbaijan conflict, but I cannot comment on this war, because this is the war that my country fights. In our Ukraine-Russia conflict, me being, especially in some semi-official capacity here, I need to be rather careful to do no harm in my statements. So, can you guys shoot down the missiles at all by Kharkov and Kiev? Yeah, of course, there is anti-missile defense, and for a fact, I know we shot a couple of missiles near Kiev today. But that's only about missiles. When we talk about the field artillery, that's nearly impossible to capture them, as well as the MLRS systems. With MLRS, it's tactically impossible. You can't really save and have 40, 60 missiles to hit those incoming. So when there's a cruise missile flying, that is being hit. And during last week, we shot 8 Onyx missiles sent towards Odessa, which are very difficult to hit. They're supersonic. The other hand is that we don't have anti-missile defense everywhere. Ukraine is a huge country. It's hard for us to cover the whole territory. And the enemy is also trying to figure out how to outsmart our anti-missile defense. That's an internal conundrum of shield and sword. So sometimes we succeed, sometimes they succeed. All right, we have over 200,000 watching us live. Please share links in your social media. So another 150,000 could join us today. That would make a usual number. Let's talk about Ukraine and Belarus. There are several political and military events there. Putin met Lukashenko today. He told him that he'll deliver Iskander-M missiles to him during the next several months. Mentioned that these could be missiles carrying tactical nuclear warheads. Many people understood that as an answer to Lithuania and European Union for a Kaliningrad blockade or embargo. So we do consider that Lithuania, of course, that's a threat for them. And Belarus, they can take a position that it's not us, it's Russia. Because I think that's how they will play that. If these machines will be given under Lukashenko's wing, it's very likely will be Russian military using them still. And second, these missiles shot from the territory of Belarus towards Ukraine. Do you think this is a tiny red thread separating Lukashenko from joining the war and attacking Ukraine? This is not my question, this is from the chat. I don't think so. One has to be a complete idiot to join the war that is being lost. We talked about that yesterday. But I'll say it again. It appears that Putin, of course, wants to involve Belarus into this conflict. And that is why he moved some of the missile systems, some aviation, and some tactical groups up to Belarus. And they're trying to force us into any retaliation against these hits. So then Lukashenko would have nothing to say, but, we got to respond and send his troops. But even technically, Belarus army is not ready for war. They would need to use certain time frame in order to prep. But as a trend, the usage of Belarus infrastructure, yes, that is happening. And this is exactly what you say. It is an attempt to engage Belarus and invite them to this war and force us to hit them, and in return, that might push them back to attack us. Our intelligence ministry already mentioned that there is information that Russian diversion groups are preparing explosions similar to the ones in Moscow in '99. That I believe, because these tests like that, they're something they can do. But however, I don't quite believe in It's not the matter of believe, don't believe. It's the matter of rational or irrational. That would be a very irrational step. Rational would be at the beginning of conflict, when there was some chance to win. And the presence of Belarus army would, of course, increase that chance remarkably. You think they could have taken Kiev? Well, we've been fighting it by the skin of the teeth, but you don't know which straw would break a camel's back. So if there would be another 4 or 40,000 from Belarus around Kiev, that could have been the decisive quantity. And tell me more about these Iskander missiles. So, yeah, what's up? What about them? They have them, yes, they may shoot them at us. Russia has been shelling us with these missiles for 120 days. Did anything change? One needs to understand that Poland and Lithuania have no sentiment about that. And we are not shooting Belarus for two reasons, of course. Not to give them an excuse to join the war, and second, not to leave a memory that Ukraine killed Belarus people. Unlike us, Poland and Lithuania, they don't really have any sentiments. They can hit back if attacked or provoked by Belarus. And frankly, Poland has enough military power to close that question of all the Iskanders that Belarus may have pointed at their border. They do have a capacity to stop all that pretty fast. Alright, let's try to play this situation out. I don't quite believe that's going to happen, but what if Moscow takes Lukashenko's son hostage and force him to join that war? What is the probability in that situation of attacking Belarus by third parties? Pure hypothetical approach. I don't know if such a huge escalation of this conflict would be able to be kept as a local war between, let's say, Poland, Lithuania, and Belarus. Very likely it would have been named as a NATO engagement against Belarus. But I don't see anybody really looking for that to happen. So, if you imagine that Belarus troops would follow the border along with Poland and attack Ukraine, so what do you mean? Oh, they'll follow the border to cut off the supplies? Okay. With all respect to Belarus army, I do not question their bravery. Their only drawback is lack of battle experience and lack of motivation. Ukrainian troops would wipe out anyone who possibly could advance on that side. With all my respect to them, I have no doubts about their bravery and professionalism, but battle experience is something you cannot get from ether. You need to survive and fight it and get it. So if Belarus troops would actually engage and invade Ukraine, our people would be killing them in rage. And they know we can do that. This is a big motivator. They will be slaughtered by everybody, not just by army, but by also villagers, citizens. Why would that happen? Well, I would say Belarus may get hit hardest in this case because we did anticipate Russia to do any kind of shenanigans, but Belarus, they're pretty much our brothers, so that would really upset people here. So it'll be better here to not engage in this war. I think they know it. We've been threatened for 120 days from territory of Belarus, and we're trying to avoid that situation, that escalation, but if they decide to cross the border and continue the conflict, that'll be on them. And also that move might change the balance of powers, and that's where Poland might just decide to join as well. Because Ukraine would be fighting two countries in this case. Why would they? Why does Ukraine have to fight two countries alone? And relations between Ukraine and Poland is likely much stronger than relations between Belarus and Russia. And if Belarus decides to fight on the Russian side, why Poland would not engage and try to help us as well, if that invasion would happen near the Polish border. So the outcome of such an engagement may be an unpleasant surprise for anyone who devised it. And I want to say here that Lukashenko is under direct pressure. We can see that, right? Well, yeah, there is other data supporting that on the internal, he's being pressed seriously to join that war and to attack Ukraine. On the other hand, if he joins the war, he pretty much signs his death warrant, because Ukraine missiles can reach his country house, can reach his president address. And in his case, there is no limitation to the use of Western arms against targets in Belarus, because the only limitation that was officially voiced is their use against mainland Russian territory. Plus, it may end up really bad for Lukashenko. And being in that condition, he might start making different mistakes, which is good, right? Of course, it is. But there is a problem. It's not enough to just give a command. It also requires for the command to be received and executed. Here's the thing when you need to look at Belarus military, because in order to follow the order, they need some reason. Because, in military, hard skills are very closely engaged with soft skills. So if you have no motivation, you can be any professional you like, but you would fail to use all that skill to defend certain purpose that you do not care for. And that's the difference. In Ukraine, we're fighting for the country and we're getting more professional. And if Belarus army doesn't know why they're going to fight, why they're going to battle to die, that'll become pretty boring. So Lukashenko might give an order to join the war, but it's still an open question how will Belarus army fight. And you never know, they can cross the border and then surrender, or just give up arms and transfer them to our military. Also, we did notice that there is a massive transfer of ammo going from Belarus to Russia. If Belarus army is going to join the fray, one probably should not be taking away their ammo. Well, why? Because they're running out of ammo in Russia. Yes, exactly. Because they're also probably pushing on Belarus to join the fight, but they don't believe that they will. I mean, they can still try to move their troops and move with whatever Russian troops from Belarus to Chernobyl area, or maybe try to follow down and end up again in Bucha and Irpin. That'll be idiocy of the global scale. And then one never withdraws ammo depots from the front line where you're planning to advance to do any offensive operation. That's why Lukashenko, of course, maneuvers. He's doing military motion near the border. He's also doing something near Lithuania and Poland. He maintains the rhetoric, but joining the war without ammo, that would be an interesting move. One can say that maybe they're taking excessive ammo, maybe, but I do have some very fact-based concerns that Belarus army is not going to do that, or about their behavior once they get this order. All right, so we'll see, I guess, in the next 5 days, we'll see. Why 5 days? Oh, Putin said he's going to Gomel, to Belarus. To Gomel? Well, yeah, Gomel is pretty close to the border. We can reach it with many things. Yeah, I think they said Gomel, but in reality they'll meet someplace else. Yeah, I don't think they'll go to Gomel. It's too close to the border with Ukraine. It's also pretty close to the border with Russia. But, you know, it's too dangerous. HIMARS and artillery and other things can reach it. Because, so what are we telling Putin? To not come there? Oh no, tell him we wait, love, and hope. And just imagine, what if we know that he is there? We could prep HIMARS around the border, and if you know for sure that he's in a certain place, would you guys use it? Well, Mark, this is a question that I cannot give a direct answer to. Well, you could, right? You could say yes or no. No, I'm not making these decisions. You'd think it would be pretty cool, though, if you managed to do that. Yeah, I agree it would be interesting, but I don't think this is the trip he'll make. I just got a piece of news that more explosions in Kharkov. So maybe what if he goes to Grodny instead of Gomel? Grodny is too close to Poland. I think Grodno is not that as safe as Gomel. No, actually, Grodno might be safer because he is near the border with Poland. You think in Grodny you cannot reach it? Well, we can measure it with a ruler, and I'll tell you. But the problem with any of these spots on the territory of Belarus is that his own security would not let him go there. Well, that's the point. We're hoping they listen to us and they won't go nowhere. Let me say that. Vladimir Vladimirovich, we're not going to shoot Gomel. Feel free to come there with a visit. Right, right. Yeah, he was promising to end the war in 2 to 3 weeks, and now he's promising not to shoot Putin. All right, let's see. There are 300,000 people watching us live, and one of them might be the person who is going to Gomel. But in this case, Vladimir Vladimirovich, please leave that link, share it in your social media, and put a like, finally. Have some compassion. Funny thing is that I think many of them are watching us daily, all 121 days, but. And it's almost never possible to get any support from these people like him. Well, of course, hit the like, hit subscribe to all of these channels, and subscribe to Privateer Station if you're listening to that in English. Now, after Ukraine was given a confirmation of candidacy, candidate member to European Union, in your view, coming back to that question, can one consider that there is a certain mechanism of integration that has been started and you cannot stop it? That this mechanism will lead to joining European Union in 2 to 3 years or something like that. Then you talked about the initiative of 3 Cs and maybe joining NATO somewhere in the further perspective. This is roughly the borderline of what Moscow demands. So, do you need to achieve these goals? Do you need to follow? Do you need to push to NATO and European Union? I understand this likely will be done in order to piss off Moscow, and if they bring it up during negotiations, you could already answer that, well, that's not on the table anymore because we have already joined these organizations. So what do you think? What is the perspective in light of all these things happening? It is impossible to give a precise prediction with this perspective. Too many unknowns in this formula. I can only say that we determined our political course, and there could be some discussions before we got our candidacy. But right now, given the course chosen, one can discuss only hypothetically these matters. Regarding the perspectives for actually joining the EU, I did highlight yesterday why it is not just a symbolic acceptance, because I know how difficult was the discussion there. It was one of the most difficult, and they treated giving that status very seriously, not as a symbolic gesture. People of Ukraine, don't cry. We're with you in your fight against Putin. No, I think they calculated all the consequences and were taking it very, not with a light heart, but they did take it. I need to remind of another thing, why it's good to observe certain things in contrast. One can remember how did this campaign start? All the slogans from Moscow that they were going to capture Ukraine, rebuild the USSR, and build it all the way from and to. And now, 120 years later, they are saying they are not objecting to Ukraine joining European Union. Seems like that roller coaster really, really wore them down. So, and they are not opposing Ukraine membership in EU, which is good for us, you know. So you think this item may disappear from any of their requests regarding the integrational limitations? It did not. It wasn't there ever. The only thing they limited was NATO. They never mentioned European Union. All right, great. We went over that. We've been streaming for about 30, almost 2 minutes. We have a little bit of time, so I want to say ahead that there'll be no cast tomorrow. He's got other things to do. So I'll have other casts on this channel while Olexiy is busy doing his things. We're doing the next cast on Monday, 27th. At the end of the show, I want to say that we did transfer money yesterday to the girl Sofia. We sent her 2,000 euros. I sincerely thank everyone who donated, everyone who wrote. I personally reached out to her. She gave me contacts of her father, and we did discuss it with him and transferred the funds. So we do want to say big thank you for those who helped us to find her and for those who helped us to raise that money. So she'll be going for a robotic prosthetic, probably in the United States. Well, we do what we can, little things. I have a request. Please come join our OpenSea platform where digital NFTs by different artists are posted, and you can buy them there, get a piece of history, and we'll take that money and send them to the families who lost limbs or parents or other relatives. On Monday, we will announce there is a small contest. It's in relation to the merchandise we want to add to our show. But until that moment, we'll keep it mum. Until that moment, we'll keep some intrigue. We'll need a bit of your participation in that creative ideation, what to put on the merchandise, on the t-shirts about our streams, and just using any kind of media to propagate the knowledge of these streams in Ukraine and other countries. There are several people working on the visual sides of that. So we're taking a pause till Monday, right? We tried to be a little more compressed. It's Saturday. Let people go. I have one huge request to all of you. Please share links. Leave your likes. They do way more by the end of the stream. And subscribe to Feygin Live, to Olexiy Arestovych, and to the Privateer station, if you are listening to that in English. Well, thank you, Olexiy, and see you Monday.